Hi, Subathra.
Hi, Sandhya.
So, today's topic for discussion is as hot and as rampant as the Omicron variant of the COVID currently circulating, the prohibition of the Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021. Now, we all know it was introduced in December 2021, and the key amendment to the Act was basically to increase the marriageable age of women in particular from 18 years to 21 years. For the males, it continues to remain 21. Okay, now understandably, this has opened up a vociferous debate. A lot of people are supporting the amendment while equal number are opposing this. Your first thoughts on this?
Well, the first thing is the statement of the objectives and also the reason for this bill. It is stated that because women are generally put into a lot of disadvantageous positions regarding either with their higher education, with their vocational instructions, or it is with the attainment of their psychological maturity and their skill sets, etc. And also the reason is by increasing the age or marriageable age. One more reason is women can enter into workforce. More and more women can enter into the workforce and also contribute to the economy to a larger aspect. So I think that was the whole intention of why the bill was passed in the parliament. However, as you clearly said, there are different views which are going around. And the first thing, if you have to say, even though when the marriageable age was 18, if you had was has been currently as 18, even during that time, you can see there's been quite a bit of child marriages which is going on.
Correct.
So the National Family Health Survey held in 2019 21, clearly portrays that about 23.3% of the total female population in our country were married off before the age of 18, So my point is by just increasing the marriageable age, I don't think we would be able to, retrieve back these steps of or be away from child marriage. So that is a major aspect which I wanted to point out. And the other aspect is also, the mental health of the woman, which you need to think in. And the mortality rate of the infants when they get married early and they become pregnant. And then you have mortality rate of the children also, which has to be considered. So basically, it is the both the maternal and the infant mortality rate can be reduced to a large extent because of this. That is one part which this bill can also will help.
Badra, I believe this amendment is an attempt at promoting gender balance and gender equality, or so the amendment states. You had rightly mentioned about the health and empowerment aspect. Do you really think this amendment will be effective from that perspective?
The whole issue is not just because by increasing the marriageable age, everything would be solved. The whole aspect is you have to attend to the grassroots level of problem, which is providing the basic education for girl children. That is the most important thing. And probably in cities, we don't feel much, but if you see in the rural areas, still a lot of young girls and children are not sent to schools. One of the reason being is poverty, because in villages people are not able to provide education, and that is the most important reason is the poverty. They don't earn enough to provide for both. If there are two children in the family, and if they have a boy and girl or two boys and one girl, they prefer to send the boys for education rather than for the girls, because they think it is a waste educating a child rather than getting her married. Is the end objective for them is getting her married off. So still, I think the mindset is one aspect which we need to address and create the awareness in the rural areas that it is equally important to educate young girls equal to boys, so that is one most important thing. And the other most important factor is the government also should allocate sufficient budget for providing free education specifically for girls, so this problem will also be sorted off and taken care of. And the other aspect which I have always felt is schools are always far away in the villages or in the rural areas. They're not within the limit of the villages. So there is obviously you need to travel, and it is transportation becomes an issue. And many parents don't want to send these young girls far away for studying because they're scared. Safety becomes an issue. So if the problem of transportation can be addressed by the government, providing safety and providing school buses, which can be easily done in the by the government, that will help a larger extent of girls going to school, and it also provides a mental comfort for the parents in the villages, that the child goes safely and comes back safely. So I think these two are important factors. And the third aspect is also providing vocational training for children, girls especially.
Absolutely.
So even so, for the worst come worst case, if they don't even graduate to a college level or graduate out of the college, if they drop out even by +2 or 10th or whatever may be for various reasons, which we really don't want, but they have a vocational training on their hand where they can start a small business on their own, and they would be able to earn sufficient to take care of themselves, not to be a burden on the parents, or nor if they get married to the marital home. You have a skill set, you have a business on hand which you can rely, and you can support in fact the family. So that is one more aspect which has to be taken into consideration. And the third thing, and very essential in today's world because of various happenings which are taking place, especially with young girls, is the aspect of giving them sex education.
Absolutely.
Though sex education is considered as a big taboo, even in developed cities, metropolitan cities. Even today, I don't think families are open enough to talk about sex education to their children, both parents as well as their grandparents and other people at home. So this awareness has to be brought in, and it has to be compulsory in all schools, in fact, rural as well as in city schools, where sex education becomes a part of the curriculum. So girls also understand how, and the maturity, they should understand what is what, where can I do what, or how can I do what are the safety measures I can do. Because today's children are far ahead. The young teens the teens know mostly everything, and they would like to experiment. And so at least for that aspect, you have to ensure that the sex education is given to them, and a guidance is given, so that teenage pregnancies can be avoided. This is a large amount of teenage pregnancies occur, so these can be avoided to a great extent. So I think these are the key aspects, according to me, which has to be taken into consideration before the bill can be passed.
Subathra, I believe that this proposed amendment, could be a dichotomy of sorts. See, the age has been increased from 18 to 21 for women in the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act. Concurrently, a similar change has been proposed under various marriage laws, Christian, Muslim, Parsi, Special Marriage Act, and so on. However, this change has not occurred across all laws. For instance, the age for voting still remains 18. So one can't help but wonder if a person, male or female, has the maturity to decide whom to vote for or against. would she not have
Right.
the maturity to decide to marry or not? Or if she decides to marry, the choice of partner? So, as you mentioned, that there is a bit of a dichotomy there. But as you mentioned, also this is being taken advantage of because of poverty as one of the most important. It's been the basic underwriting factor, I think. Right?
Correct. Absolutely. And with the pandemic coming in, and as you know, that it has in fact aggravated the whole scenario more and more. If you look into the rural areas, more and more parents, want, because there's been no work, and they want the children, especially the girls, they want them to get them married off and send them away. So the whole situation, the pandemic has aggravated the whole scenario, in fact, more than anything. So I think this reality, it is a ground reality, and we need to address this like the way I had previously put forth.
In fact, there's a very interesting trivia here because I happened to read in a couple of newspapers right after the amendment came out. In states like Telangana, for instance, there was an increase in the number of marriages of girls, fearing that this amendment will become effective. So that is the level of education, that is the level of awareness, right? So
Correct. So it is more and more that people want to just, move the girls off very quickly. It is like even now considered as a burden to their family. So, so it is like shifting from one hand to another, and even the matrimonial home thinks their woman is a burden.
Yeah. So unless the mindset, the mindset changes, I don't see anything changing. Even if a law is enacted, forget implemented. By simply enacting a law, the change actually has to come at the grassroots level, as you had suggested.
Yes, absolutely. I agree to that. It has to be from the grassroots level. Yes. There is also a concern if a girl gets married early, say about 18 or 19, and in case she faces any matrimonial issues at home, and she approaches the court for redress, and there is a very high likelihood or chances for the husband to plead that this whole marriage is not valid and it is void, and she can be devoid of her own rights. And this is a cause of a grave concern, and it has to be addressed. And I think the remedy for this, it is necessary to have a very clear direction within the statute itself, saying that a woman who gets married under the age will not lose her matrimonial rights or the rights of inheritance, even in the case she becomes a widow.
Correct. Yes, Subathra, it is mandatory to address the loophole that you just mentioned for the act to be, or the proposed amendment in the act to be more effective. I'd like to sum it up. The proposed amendment has been seen as encouraging, empowering, and keeping women financially independent. That has been the basic object of this proposed amendment, which is a very laudable intention and objective. But I believe the key is implementation at the grassroots level, and nothing will work unless there is a change in the basic mindset of people, both in urban and rural areas. Now, I know that this bill has been referred to the Standing Committee of the Parliament. And while they deliberate, in fact, the task force, which was constituted by the Prime Minister, also has come up with suggestions on a similar level, saying that just a law will not help unless it is backed up by effective implementation. So while we wait for all considerations and all recommendations to be considered by the committees, one just hopes for the best towards the betterment of women. Thank you for joining me today discussing this, and hope to discuss more such issues. Thanks, Subathra.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.